You are significant. You have seeds of greatness inside of you. You are not on accident. You are on purpose. You are here for a very divine, special purpose. And we are going to talk in this podcast about evidence that you are significant. So, what kind of thoughts have you been having that are going to lead to growth? This episode is about April thoughts that bring May growth. And I think it is so important to me and to you to have a growth mindset. And that's why you're listening to this podcast, is because you already have a desire to grow and a growth mindset. And that's what spurs you to listen to podcasts, looking for that nugget that is going to fill in another gap that has been there and create a bridge so that you can get to where you want to go and you can get to your goals. You can get to your own significance. You can live into your greatness. And so thank you so much for being here. I don't take it for granted that you're here, and I appreciate you so, so much. And would ask you to please hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, and share this out to a friend that you care about, that you want to see them grow and you want to see them live into their significance. And this episode is a gift. Send this episode as a gift to your friend, that you do believe in them and you do care about them and you're excited for where they're going and the significance they've had in your life. And send this episode as a thank you to them for being that person to you. So, April thoughts that bring May growth. What book are you reading right now? I would love for you to message me on Instagram at Darlene Fit Lee, and that's my first name, Darlene, Fit, and my last name, Lee, all together as one word. So message me on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok as Darlene Fit Lee, and I'm on Facebook as well. And I would love to hear your thoughts of what is it that you've been doing. I'm Darlene Lee, by the way, on Facebook. So I want to hear what book you've been reading and what is a nugget, even just one growth thought, one thought that expanded your mind, that without that book, you would not have had that thought enter your mind to create a bridge between where you were and where you are now that you've heard that thought. So I'm so excited to hear from you and read what it is that has come to you. And really, isn't that a treasure? It's a treasure on earth from God when He gives us wisdom. In my Bible reading this week, I've been reading about wisdom in Proverbs 8. And that's a pretty lengthy chapter. There is a lot said in there about wisdom. And are you in a Bible reading this year? I would love to hear if you are. And if you're doing Bible YouVersion, it has 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner. And it'll say, when you click on those, it'll say share if you're on your smartphone. And you can share your plan with me as well. And I would love to see what Bible reading plan that you're in this year. So it has been really interesting to me to come back to that chapter on wisdom inside of Proverbs 8 and just look at those nuggets again and see wisdom personified, first of all. And I love that God does that here, where wisdom is personified, and wisdom has been around forever without beginning and without end, just like God, because wisdom is part of Him. And so, listen, for I have trustworthy things to say. I open my lips to speak what is right. And that's verse 6. Um, and it reminds me of the verse in that talks about seeking out wisdom and seeking out truth, and kind of like that proverb that Jesus told, where it was about buying a field and searching for a pearl and being willing to sell everything in order to buy that field to find that pearl. And how precious wisdom is, and that it's worth everything to seek after that kind of wisdom and find it. And so I hope that you'll continue to listen. We have an episode that's going to come out with Mary Springer coming up, and it is going to be so good. And I love her. She and I met in a couple of years ago, a couple Januaries ago, really, at Align Limitless. And I had not really gotten to know her. I had seen just a little bit of her on social media. And when we came to Align Limitless, we had both volunteered to be on the team to put the event together. And wow, what an amazing group of women to get to work with and get to know. What a treasure to be chosen as a volunteer and be able to work that event and get to know Mary as well as some other amazing women. And really, that team, Mary was instrumental in a conversation that we all had one night. We sat around in a circle, like went in her room, and we were all just talking, and ended up, somebody sat on the bed and somebody sat on like a hope chest, I think, and somebody against the wall. And before we knew it, we were sitting in a circle without anyone ever saying everybody sit in a circle. And Mary was just so good to ask us questions that made us think and brought out in us like what our goals were and where we wanted to go in the year. And as we all took turns sharing what we were up to and what our goals were, then it actually allowed us to network with each other. And so one of my dear friends now, Angela Sanders, said she wanted to be a VA, a virtual assistant, and had never done it before. And I was looking for a virtual assistant. And so that sparked us to have more conversations and her to come on board as my VA. And she has been such a blessing to me and my team all through since then. And our relationships continue to develop and blossom into more. And a lot of that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Mary Springer. And so I'm so thankful for her. And after the podcast episode ended, she and I stayed on for a while and chatted some more. She is now a 180 coach and got trained in Alejandra's 180 method. And she already is like a fabulous coach. She already came to the table with amazing coaching skills, being able to ask questions that draws out of people their best and helps them to grow. Makes her a natural coach, and she has that gift. And so I'm super excited for her, and that she's opening up her life and her calendar to coach people. And she really gifted me some time as we just continued to chat after hitting end recording on that episode. And I was sharing with her a little bit about some of my struggles, and she helped me to see a growth thought, an April thought that will bring May growth. And it gets down to the subject of ego and how I didn't even really have awareness of ego and how much a part it's playing in my life and in my growth and in my actions or inactions until last year when I was in mastermind coaching with Brooke Hemingway and we started talking about ego. And in the realm of being a Christian, I think ego definitely has a relation to pride. It's that part of the brain that wants to protect. It's that part of the human spirit that wants to be right, wants me to be right, and wants to protect me from being hurt. And yet there's still like, it's almost like an overactive part of the human, of being human, that it's like, I don't need to be protected so much. And that's part of what I've been asking myself is like, why does ego feel so fragile? Like if I was looking at ego as a person and I was even going to name her as a part of me, I don't know what that name would be. I hadn't thought of it. But if I was going to name her as that part of me that wants to protect me, why does ego feel like I am so fragile, that I have to be so vehemently protected? And I think that's a worthy question. Do you think about ego and that part of yourself that wants to protect you? And why is it that it works like overtime to be right? And one of the realizations that I had today is that my ego doesn't want to be wrong. And I think this is true in general as well. That ego, your ego, my ego, doesn't want to be wrong. But I think for me, it's functioning at a overdrive kind of level. And I really feel like part of that it has got to do with the trauma, with the stages of codependency that I'm healing from still. And so realizing that awareness is so powerful, right? And once we call something out, then it starts to lose its power over us when we call it out. And so I want to ask your person, your brain, can you be wrong? Is it okay for you to be wrong? Are you okay with that? Um, or is your ego, if you wanted to name him or her, is your ego in overdrive trying to protect you and keep you from being wrong? And if it is, what meaning is being attached to that is holding you back? So for me, if I'm wrong or do something wrong, then I'm afraid that I'll let someone down. I'm terrified of that. I don't want to let anyone down. And why is that? Like, if I let someone down, what would that mean about me? And does that mean I'm bad or that I'm a bad person? Or did I just do something, make a mistake? And I think that that's important to look at. Does it make me bad if I do something that is wrong or a mistake? And that is where I can see maybe being a root of procrastination, a root of what I ended up journaling about this is don't even start. Like, don't even start. If I can't be wrong and I might hurt someone, because if I am wrong or I do something wrong, I might hurt you. I might hurt you, then I'm not even going to start. I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to start. I'm just going to back completely up. And I think this goes back to abandonment and different situations that created abandonment. And so, like, even with a customer, let's say you're an entrepreneur like I am, and if you're going to ask them to do business with you, and if you don't do the process that you've set up in your systems perfectly, and you make a mistake, then can you forgive yourself? Or if you make a mistake, does that make you bad or make you attack ego where you can't afford it? Ego's so fragile. Ego can't afford to be wrong or make a mistake, so don't even start. And so, can you see where this would lead to complete inaction, or maybe taking a safer, smaller level of action? Um, whew, wow, this is big stuff, isn't it? And realizing it again, awareness, creating awareness around this is going to give us freedom to be able to move forward, because we know it's not true. I know that if I make a mistake, it's not because I'm a bad person. It's not because I'm meant to harm anyone or hurt anyone. It would be done out of being human, out of how to put this into words. It would be done out of a lack of knowledge, or a lack of maybe ability, a lack of emotional maturity, but not out of malice, not out of ill will. That's just not who I am. And so, knowing that in my heart, and knowing that my desire is to do a fabulous job, a perfect job, but perfection is rarely attainable, um, at best, right? And, I think about this, I've thought about this before. And I think about careers where we definitely do not want people to make mistakes. Like a doctor that's doing a surgery. You do not want your doctor to make a mistake. But has that doctor ever made a mistake? Guaranteed, yes, they've made a mistake. Sometimes, and hopefully, the mistake is caught so that it's not a problem. Hopefully, the mistake is caught before any major consequences. But even doctors, even surgeons make a mistake in some way sometimes. But that's a career where we hope they don't make a mistake. I go to the chiropractor every week because I'm so active, also because fibromyalgia runs in the women in my family. One way that I practice self-care and preventative care is I go to the chiropractor every week. And definitely, I don't want my chiropractor to make a mistake. But for example, he might forget to adjust something that he normally adjusts. It's okay. I still absolutely love my chiropractor. He does such a great job. And I'm so grateful for how he helps me to stay functional at a higher level every week, and out and not in pain. And because I'm adjusted, my bones, my joints, my tissue, all that is wearing out more evenly, and less, like slower, less at a slower rate, I hope. I trust in that. And I'm so grateful. And so, this is helpful to examine, right? Because then we can see, if we have gratitude, then we, like you yourself, would offer forgiveness if someone, even in that realm of, your surgeon or your chiropractor, like, have you ever forgiven someone that made a mistake that was super important? It was an important area in your life, but you forgave them because you understood the humanness. You understood the human plight that we all are struggling in together each day. And, maybe you haven't forgiven. Maybe there's someone that you need to forgive, that it's going to give you freedom if you let that go. And one of the things Mary and I were talking about today, and I can't remember if it was on recording or off, was, people's need to, uh, their identity. And I think we were talking about on recording, that it's hard sometimes to let go of an old identity that did serve us at the time. It saved us, it saved you, it saved me at the time, but it's not saving me now. It's holding me back. And it's scary to let go of, that part of my identity. It could be scary to let go and forgive someone if every day I woke up, thought about that, and put on anger, put on a piece of bitterness. We think about the Bible in Ephesians 6, where it says, put on the whole armor of God. And then it starts naming all the pieces: the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, the belt of truth, the feet shod with the gospel of peace, and then the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. And so, putting these pieces on, sometimes we put on pieces that aren't healthy, that aren't serving us, like anger or like bitterness. And we can just choose, like, I'm not going to put that piece on. I'm going to, decide to stop putting that piece on in the morning. I'm going to replace it with love. I'm going to replace it with gratitude. I think of the verse that talks about sweeping out old demons, sweeping out one old bad demon, and the house was clean, but nothing replaced it. And then 7 more came in, worse than the first. And so it's so, so important for us to replace. If we're going to put it down, we can replace it with something good. And so you could replace it with a habit of starting to journal in the morning, first thing when you get up. Take your first breath, and just as you inhale that first breath of consciousness, what am I grateful for this morning? I'm so grateful that my grandchildren are here this weekend. And exhale. Inhale. What am I grateful for this morning? I'm so grateful that the sun is shining. It's not rainy today. The sun is shining. And exhale. Wake up and inhale. What am I grateful for this morning? I'm so grateful that maybe I'm in pain, but instead of a level 8, it's a level 3 today. And exhale. And inhale. I wake up another morning and I inhale. What am I grateful for this morning? I'm so grateful I got to spend time with good friends, and we were able to go camping, or we were able to go eat at a new restaurant, or we were able to spend 2 hours together having a meaningful conversation that really was affirming, and I know I'm not alone. And exhale. And so having this practice of replacing anger or bitterness with gratitude. Gratitude to me has become the foundation of creating a shift, creating change that has allowed me to heal. And I can see, putting this all together today, I can see where gratitude could help me to shift ego as well. So gratitude has become such a foundation for me for creating a shift and a change, to deciding to leave off, that it's okay to leave off waking up in fear. One thing I've noticed, and I'm still really working on this, is that a lot of times I will start thinking about the day after I do wake up, and I do think of my gratitude thought, and I'll start praying a lot of times when I first wake up before I get out of the bed. And I start praying. I pray for my children. I'm praying for my grandchildren. I'm thanking God. And then after I have said some of those kind of prayers, praying for my children, praying for my grandchildren, then I have noticed that sometimes my brain will start to scan my to do list that day of what do I have to do today as I'm waking up and I'm thinking. And my thoughts will go to the different things. And then when I think of something that is going to be challenging or that brings a little bit of fear in, that's what ends up motivating me to get up. And so I don't want to have fear based motivation when I get up in the morning. I want to scan my day and feel joy and excitement and passion for the things that are on my agenda to do that day, that are on my calendar to do that day. I don't want to be motivated to get out of the bed by, I'm going to be late, or that's going to be, I'm not ready. I'm not prepped all the way for that. I need to get up now so I have a little more prep time. I want to be motivated by passion and be motivated by positive love based emotions and not fear based emotions. So that's one of my growth thoughts. That's something that I'm still working on and working to shift and change. And I still believe that awareness is like, what percentage number should we say? I mean, it is a very high number in winning the battle and creating change so much of the time. And I'm going to say this again: awareness calls it out and it begins to lose its power. It also makes my brain and your brain realize, I want to change this. So, how do I start changing it? And when I ask that question, then my reticular activator is up to find the answer. My brain, even in the background, like a computer running, doing a search, will be looking for the answer to that. And I'll be attracting that change to myself. Like, I don't want to wake up and scan my day of what is Darlene doing today and find the item on my list that makes me feel fear. And that's what makes me put my feet on the floor. I want to feel passion and excitement, and elation and freedom and significance. I want to know that I'm going to be creating a difference in people's life for the good, in my children, in my own self, practicing self-care, in my family's life, in my community, and in my world. That I'm excited, I'm passionate, I'm feeling elation, and love-based emotions. Excitement is actually a fear-based emotion, and I'm still being challenged to change the way that I look at that. But when we look at it on the scale, and the reason it's a fear based emotion is when we are truly in excitement, we aren't being rational. We're just responding. We're like reacting. We're not responding, is really more correct way to say it. So I don't want to be in true excitement until I've responded the way I want to with the part of the brain that is logical and makes rational decisions. And then once that work is done, then I can move. So I hope that this helps you as well, creating some awareness around what is it that motivates you to get out of the bed. Are you getting out of the bed because you're excited in a good way about the day, or is fear? Are you getting out of the bed and feet are hitting the floor, and it's because of something that's either fear based or maybe what you're putting on? Um, Isn't it weird how negative emotions sometimes motivate us more than positive ones? And I totally wish it wasn't that way, but I think being intentional and having purpose that we're living into is the key. And creating this habit of gratitude and having a mindset of what am I about today? What is my purpose? What is my mission? And what is my vision for the future? And when we have a big vision and a big purpose that we're living into, then that gives us on our life and today and my to-do list meaning, and it helps me to be motivated in a positive way to get into action. So I hope that these April thoughts bring growth for you, and I'm excited to share some more April thoughts that bring May growth this month in our podcast this month as you and I sit together as friends. And I want to thank you again for listening in, and thank you so much for sharing this podcast out to a friend as a gift. I love you, friend. Thank you for listening to You Are Significant. Please leave us a review. Please leave comments, give us a like, and share this out. We appreciate you here on You Are Significant, and I cannot wait till next time to spend time with you.